Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First off, we'd like to thank you for allowing us to present this bid to you guys and taking time out of your day to present the proposal. We're excited to start forming a strong relationship right now. I'd like to start off and introduce the team that I hand selected to work on this project for you. So I'm Richard Carmen. I'm the president of Seconds in Construction. There we have Nick Palmer, who is our chief estimator, Tanner Schaeferman, who is our pre-construction manager, Trey Tan, our assistant project manager, Corey Fellman, our project manager, and Stephen Crowfoot, who is our superintendent. Seconds in Construction has been a company for 102 years. We were started in Phoenix, and over time we've moved on from multifamily housing and developed into mixed use and more commercial side. So within these 102 years, we have never had a fatality on a job site, which has allowed us to keep our EMR at a very low rate of 0.48. Also, to keep this rate low, we apply our 30 and 30 strategy, and this is where the first 30 stands for the 30-foot rule. If you are above the 6 feet that OSHA requires you to be tied off at, you're immediately responsible for everybody within your 30-foot radius. If you see someone 20 feet away and they're not tied off, you are as responsible for that person as you are for yourself. So if they're getting in trouble, you will be getting in trouble as well, and you can be removed from the job site forever. The other 30 in that strategy is the 30-hour OSHA card rule. All of our superintendents and foremen have their 30-hour OSHA card, and they're required to either have it on file in the job trailer or on their person at all times, which helps with emergency response. So we make sure that they are 30-hour qualified, and then this helps to ensure they're competent in case of an emergency. We have specific site plans, but overall, this is every single project we work on. They have to be 30-hour certified and make sure they're competent. One of the big things on this project is the hospital is only 3 miles away. So in case there ever is an emergency, we can get there quite quickly. Also, that we find extremely important is public safety. We want to make sure that nobody around the area is getting hurt. That'll keep the neighbors happy. So to do this, we will be erecting a fence around the perimeter of the site. On this fence, we'll have contact information for getting in contact with myself and all the project management team. This will allow all the neighbors to address any concerns that they have and learn what we're actually doing on site so they can see how one day it'll be able to benefit them. Along with that, we'll have quick response codes, also known as QR codes. They're the little black boxes that you're able to scan with your phones. So if people are walking along and they say, oh, what's going on in there, they're able to just scan it really quick, see it'll take them to our website and they'll be able to see what's going on. And this is specifically important for our delivery schedule. This allows people to stay out of the way if they see, oh, on this Wednesday there's going to be 6 trucks coming in, I don't want to drive by here. So this really helps with public safety, it lessens traffic congestion, and just overall risk of every site we use. And then to talk more about this specific site risk, I'll pass it over to Tanner.
Hello, my name is Tanner Schaeferman. Here at STN, we have identified 5 major risks for the project. We're going to elaborate on 3 of those. The first risk is the site has a potential for a natural disaster. The site is roughly half a mile from the ocean. Southern California is known for earthquakes. Earthquakes that close to the ocean could cause potential tsunami, so on and so forth. In order to mitigate those risks, we have implemented 2 muster points on site. With each muster point, if there is an emergency, all personnel on site are known or informed to go to their designated muster point, and if need be, we can evacuate the site in a rapid, in efficient time. Our second risk is the habitat management areas. There are 2 habitat management areas, both in the canyon. These habitat management areas are not allowed to utilize construction or any debris, or any construction debris. In order to mitigate that risk, there is already a site fence erected around the canyon. We are going to take it a step further, and we are going to put in various signage around the area, and also include information in our weekly safety meetings, so that way everybody knows what's going on around the area and knows what exactly is going on and what they're allowed to do in that site. Our last risk that I'm going to talk about today is the concrete delivery. The nearest concrete supplier is roughly 40 miles away, and the only way for them to access the site is via the Interstate 5, which has been known to have traffic issues. With that being said, those traffic issues could cause expedited curing for the concrete, so on and so forth. In order to mitigate that risk, we're going to implement an on-site batch plant where we can effectively control the quality of concrete that we are using for the buildings and overall save. Yes, sir.
How are you going to control your dust and water? And
Our system. Sorry.
It's quite a process doing an on-site batch plant.
Our assistant project manager, Trey, is going to discuss it later, but we plan on bringing on some water trucks and street cleaners, so on and so forth, to mitigate the dust.
What are your other two risks? You just named
Our other
them.
two risks are site security and site safety.
Who's your PM?
That's me, sir.
So you guys have identified natural disaster as a risk. I'm thinking catastrophic, acts of God, that type of thing.
Sir.
What type of insurance program policy could you purchase to cover the risks associated with that type of?
Well, I'm not positive exactly what the plan is, but we do have insurance agencies, and we've built great relationships with them, and they've given us some very good backup, so to say, to help us with those natural disasters and things. So we do have an insurance plan in place, and we try to make sure all of our subs and everybody's covered, like $1 million umbrella on that.
Also pertaining to any other construction risks, we implement, here at STM, we implement a variety of BIM technologies. For example, it is a company standard to have a BIM department on every project that we work on. With this specific project, we actually have a 5-person BIM department. And with our BIM department, we are able to utilize in-house BIM uses, for example, cost estimation, 3D coordination, and existing site condition models, which are at no cost to the owner. We utilize them so that way we can effectively save the owner in cost and in time.
So you're going to have 5 of your personnel on the job site managing the BIM?
Yes.
You know what are their specific roles? Are they each different? Are they managing a sub single-handedly similar to the project engineer?
They are going to all utilize, we're going to utilize them all for the whole project. Each one will be assigned their own building, so we'll be able to, we're working on building 18 AA. We're able to go to them, say, hey, the specific person, and say, hey, what is the 3D coordination for this specific building, so-and-so sub needs it.
Do you have costs in your bid for each member, each person?
Yes, we do.
All of our internal BIMs, Tanner's going to keep going with our BIM policies, but all of those costs are purely internal. We haven't charged you for any of that.
So the staff, that 5-member team is all part of your base fee or overhead or absorbed somehow by your company?
Correct.
We also have external uses for our BIM department. We can utilize them for you, the owner. For example, we can do a wide variety of what is the word I'm thinking for? BIM technologies, ranging from a lighting analysis all the way to a full design review. That does come at an extra cost to the owner, but we'd be more than willing to sit down and discuss that cost with you. For any other costs, I'll go ahead and send it off to Nick.
Before you send it away, what would you say is the most important element of the project on this project?
Probably the most important project or part of this project pertaining to BIM would have to be, we're building, this is a somewhat short schedule with a lot of buildings going up. It would have to be, the 3D coordination and definitely cost estimation to make sure that we are not costing the owner any extra.
What specific system though would you BIM? What would be critical for coordination?
We would implement I believe it's Revit, the software program for our BIM coordination.
Hi, my name is Nick Palmer. I'm the chief estimator for Second to None. Before we get into the guaranteed maximum price, I'd kind of like to take you through the process of how my team and I got there. Starting with our general conditions, you probably noticed I put together a pretty extensive project team. I believe this is absolutely necessary as we have a 340,000 10,000 square foot site, and anywhere from 4 or 5 buildings going up simultaneously. And I just want to make sure that we're capable enough to handle everything that's happening all at the same time. And with that project team comes everything they're going to need to be successful: the job site trailers, office supplies, transportation, laptops, and then everything from the porta potties, job site fence, everything, the whole 9 yards, everything they're going to need. Getting into our budget, the majority of our bid was a subcontractor buyout, but you've requested that we do some internal just backup quantity takeoffs and back up those some of these bids. Specifically looking at building 19, finished flooring takeoffs, we have a range from sealed concrete to tile carpeting, and then a little bit of vinyl, and just your basic ceramic tile. I can't tell you quantities off the top of my head, but I can tell you that the finished flooring cost for building 19 came out to about $52,000. Getting into deeper into our general conditions, you may have noticed a number that was a little bit off. We had a $27,000 line item that had an extra zero tacked on, and it wound up at $270,000. I just want you to know that we've taken care of that internally. You're not responsible for that cost. Somebody in our marketing department has gotten an earful, and we've dealt with the situation.
Marketing group.
So compiling our general conditions, all our subcontractor buyout, and hacking off that $250,000. Our guaranteed maximum price comes in at $83 million, and then with the alternate parking structure, that puts us at $104,350,000. And to talk about how we financed that money over the project, I'd like to bring up our project staff and go a little more in depth.
What's the fee that you're hearing?
1%.
Hi, my name is Corey Tellman. I'm the project manager. Like Nick said, I'm going to go over monthly costs here a little bit. So, at the beginning, you can see we're going to start off and kind of get some of the things kicked off there. Then at month 5, you can see that it jumps up quite a bit, a significant amount. That is because we're going to be having 4 buildings going on at the same time. So you're going to have your steel, your concrete, all of our subs, expenses. There's going to be a lot of personnel on the job, a lot of materials. Things are going to be going pretty fast, and so as you can see, those next 4 or 5 months are a good significant amount of capital on your part. But then we're going to try and taper that off as quickly as possible to September 2016 to get you going.
So what's our biggest invoice?
Your biggest invoice is just over $12 million. So I know it's a big chunk of change, but it'll definitely be worth it.
Bank's ready.
Well, that's good. So I mean, here's just a little cumulative cost as the months go on. You gradually progress to that 104 that I talked about. And if you choose not to do the parking structure, then your costs will decrease as well.
What's the most expensive division you have?
Most-
Yeah, or subcontractor.
Definitely our steel erectors.
Steel and electrical, and then concrete's pretty close third.
Talking about steel, I'm not looking for a date, but just conceptually, when would you expect to receive payment for steel?
Meaning,
Would you, let's see, how can I phrase this without just giving? So oftentimes, I mean, as a developer, I've got to provide cash flow projections to the lender. I've got to meet those cash flow projections. The lender will send out a third-party inspector to verify work in place before he'll issue us any type of payment. So how will you ensure that you're not overbilling me for something that you haven't purchased yet?
Steven's going to talk a little bit about our getting into our pre-construction. So as we would we'd like to start as soon as we can to get that steel prefabbed and sent to the job. And so we definitely will, once that steel is on site, we'll take an inventory, okay, we have this much. So, and if we're off a little
So
bit.
you fabricate, procure, deliver, and then invoice?
Correct. So, as the project manager, I kind of had an opportunity to jump into the lead group here at STN, which has been exciting to kind of see the lead portion of it. And you, as the owner, kind of had some questions, weren't exactly positive what it was, but I can assure you that us at STN, we've looked into it and really like to give our customers and our clients green buildings to really help the environment, to help you be more sustainable in your costs, which with LEED is very significant. If we do it right, you as the owner will be able to save money on energy costs, which is a big one. And then with this site being so big and the maintenance being so large as well, those costs over the life cycle of those buildings is going to decrease significantly.
On that note, our architect has recently told us that the site selection doesn't satisfy the prerequisite. I guess that there's a prerequisite for site selection. Does that impact our ability to get certification?
We've looked into it, our lead experts in our company, and we've found that you are quite close actually with site selection, at being able to get certified. So what's that?
That's good news.
Yeah. So we've jammed numbers and we've looked into your location and the things that are on your site, and we're about 5 points away, which we've kind of thrown some ideas around, and if you would really like to get certified, we would love to sit down and.
Do you get points for prerequisites?
For prerequisites, there are some that you do not get points for, but for the most part, for what I understand is a prerequisite for me is existing site conditions. So from what I understand, we're coming onto this job and it's in the middle of a good number of neighborhoods. So your walkability is increased. You're in a desirable location. You're half a mile from the ocean. So your site is kind of in a good location for people to come and not have to jump in their cars and go to the site or whatever. They can walk or ride their bike or whatever it is. Okay. So that's kind of what we've looked into to get that for you. And so we would love to sit down with you if that is a goal of yours, to make your costs and make your project energy efficient. So I'm going to turn the time over now to our assistant, or to my assistant, Trey, and he's going to talk about the management plan a little bit.
Hi, my name is Trey Tan, and I'm the assistant project manager, and I've been helping Corey with most of the projects for a while now. And today I'll be talking about 3 main ideas of management plan. The first one I'm going to be talking about is going to be the concrete batch plan, which our pre-construction manager Tanner had mentioned it earlier. And the second one I'll be talking about noise mitigation plan. And then I'll move on to environmental plan, which I will focus more on dust control. So for concrete batch plan, we want to utilize most of our resources. So because the thing is, at first, we already make a set of plans of how much concrete we're going to use. But then in the later part, we have really awesome owners who wanted to have more, structures like parking structure. And then because of that, we're going to need to have more concrete. And because of that, we actually decided to use a concrete batch plan on site. And because through that, we think that it's more efficient as opposed to using the traditional method of having concrete trucks drive into our site, and then it can cause obstructions, and also it's better if we have a batch plan on site, and then it just helps to circulate things better.
Have you got a site plan that shows where you might locate a batch plan?
Yeah, we do.
Yes,
We do.
It's in the top left.
Our superintendent Stephen will talk about it later. Yeah, so we have we have two concrete trucks who will be rotating around the construction site, and that allows us to save time and be on schedule. Also, it increases our quality of the product because the concrete will be fresh out of the batch plant, and then when we pour concrete, it's not going to be more than, I mean, the time travel from batch plant to the place where we pour concrete is going to be within 20 minutes, as opposed to when we order concrete from the batch plant elsewhere. They're going to take hours because sometimes there might be traffic, and then it's going to affect our schedule. So to move on to noise mitigation, we have work hours that are in accordance with the state's Department of Transportation. We have installed and placed noise receptors across construction sites so that we can actually help to keep record and also monitor how much noise pollution that we are actually causing to the surroundings. That's good because it allows us to be more reputable as a general contractor, and also help to comply with the federal and state laws about creating noise pollution elsewhere or in the site. And the main reason why we're doing this is because we want to create a better environment, and we want to have our residents around us be happy with us constructing a building beside them, so that in the future, we won't be much of a problem to them.
What are your work hours during the day, when you start, when you finish?
We're gonna start at like 7 a.m. in the morning and end around 3 to 4 p.m.
So you might talk about it coming up. Do you have any emergency procedures for the site? I don't see anything on your site plan. Do you have that?
Oh yeah, we do. We mark the gate red because if you kind of zoom in, you can see it. It's kind of small. Sorry about that. But then the thing is, whenever we have any accidents going on, the thing is we're gonna first hit for the exit. I mean, because whenever something happens, we run for our lives, right? So it's pretty obvious. Yeah, and then that's why we mark the gate red, and so that we know that where's the gate inside plan, and that we're gonna make known to every single employee out there that if anything should happen, run straight to the door. So
everyone runs straight to the door, and then they all get in their cars and go. Ambulance shows up. How are you going to be able to account for your employees and you know?
He's actually
Yeah, I know what you mean,
incorrect here.
but-
I'm the superintendent, Steve
Okay.
Crowley. We have designated musk areas. We have one on each side.
Perfect.
If you look at the plan, there's one up by the job trailer. There's actually one in the center of all the buildings. So if something does happen with the buildings, people can easily kind of muster at that area. You can get accountability, make sure everyone is accounted for when the emergency crews arrive, and we can assess who's been hurt, who's been fine, and we can deal with the situation.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Alright, so I hope that helps you. Okay, anyway, so moving on to the last one, environmental plans. I'm gonna be focusing more on dust control. So our company has two ways of mitigating dust pollution. So one of the ways, our first way, is to use water truck, because over the years it has proven effective to us. And then we're gonna operate the water truck every day in job site, and that will help us reduce the amount of debris and dust that will rise and float in the air. And also for our second plan for dust control is that we're gonna have street cleaners. So the thing is, they're gonna come over to our job site once a week, and they're only gonna be operating during off traffic hours, so that it provides conveniency for both parties. The workers are able to do their stuff, and while street cleaners work during off traffic hours, which is, we have space for both sides. and we think it's good because these street cleaners help to provide a clean and nice and a healthier work environment for our workers. So that's why we have that. And now I'll move on to time with, to pass the superintendent, Stephen Crowfoot, to talk about site logistic plan.
Thank you. My name is Stephen Crowfoot. Thanks for allowing me to talk to you guys today. I'm going to be covering the schedule, and I'm also going to be going through our site logistics. We're going to cover a little bit of the plan so you can see exactly what's going on. Project milestones. I want to start with the high lead items right away. All right, that's steel we've been talking about. Because we want to start so quick, we want to get it in, and we want to get it done now. We do have a little bit of buffer in the schedule. If you notice, we are ending in July. We've done that just in case there's a little bit of push, because we did notice one thing with your ground conditions. It states in there that that the ground conditions appear to be fine, but at the same time they request while we're excavating each of the buildings to do a double check. So we want to make sure we do that to check for each building, because we obviously don't want to fall over anytime soon or have any structural issues. Good one.
Okay, just a quick question on the steel. I'm showing on your schedule that you're starting your steel procurement beginning in January, right? You guys want to get that going, and you're doing that at your own risk, right? I'm
Yes.
also showing that you're delivering that steel on March 4th, which is about a month before we're showing NTP on the project. So one, you have a place to store that, because the site most likely will not be available until after we receive notice to proceed, or we provide notice to proceed. And so, do you have a place to store that?
Yes, we have our yard. We can store it at if we have to. Otherwise, it's nice to know that you have it, especially with a long lead item like that. I'm better off. I feel more reassured knowing that I do have it in hand rather than having to wait. Because some of that stuff, you can really get held up on your project a lot.
Oh, I agree. 100% I agree. One of the things that I'm concerned with is that on your schedule, you're not showing any of your buildings starting steel erection until August. And so I'm wondering why you would assume risk and cost, liability, to have steel sitting around for 4 months before you begin erection.
I actually wouldn't assume to get it for like a couple months after that until they're actually moved on to the site.
Okay.
And that's the reason I was looking at that.
So, little contractual questions. I'm blaming Nikki for this. She's brought it up. If you're going to purchase steel before we give you a notice to proceed, you're purchasing steel without a contract in place, without any type of agreement in place for a project that you may or may not be awarded.
We have a good contract with the people that we work with, and with the setup and the design that we have made it very easily so that we can use it for a different project or for different things if we lose the contract. We're not planning to lose the contract. I mean, you guys seem like great owners, and I hope you enjoy us as a company.
We're a typical developer.
Like California.
All right. So as you can tell, we are going to mobilize on site in April, which you guys specified. We're looking to finish in July. You guys recommended that we finish a little bit early. We have up to September. We're planning to be done by July. We're going to be a little bit busy. We start off slow, a little bit slow with the first building, and then we do 4 buildings at once, starting on 422. These 4 buildings, that's the reason we have such a high staff, because we want to make sure that they go out without a hitch, because we are going to need the time to make sure the concrete figures and make sure your shelves are all ready by the time you guys want to move. Slide. Here's our site plan. You guys are wondering quite a bit about that batch plan. If you look up to the upper left of the canyon, that's where our batch plan is located. So it looks like a little tiny dot actually from here. We chose that location merely because by the job trailer, we can watch it a little bit, and at the same time, it's easy for trucks to take it back and forth.
So we got a few questions on this batch site plan. So do you own the
No.
batch? Do you own the batch site plan? Do you own the batch?
No, we don't. We're going to have our subcontractors bring it in when they do the.
Is that included in their bid then?
Yes.
What?
We've talked to them about it and we've discussed
And
it.
you've got plenty of room. You would need a good batch plant. You're gonna need about 10 to 15,000 square feet just for your soils.
Okay.
And your chemicals, and you're gonna need on site probably 2 to 3 water tanks with the schedule and the amount of concrete for sure. So if you can slot through all that, you've got your noise mitigation now, you've got dust, you've got extra SWIP plan, you can have them separate safety plans. You've got all that set in place.
Yes. That's the dumperies, and we also do have that extra line down the side there that is all for the batch plant.
Are you willing to move it if we decide to build that hotel?
Yes.
Halfway through the project?
If it happens, we're willing to do whatever you guys need to do.
The main purpose of the batch plant was to help with the parking structure, so the hotel going up would kind of
Help
depend on
expedite
it.
your schedule and
Mainly, we don't want to have tons and tons of trucks driving to the neighborhood, and that batch plant will allow us to mitigate that. Because if we're driving through the neighborhood, all the neighbors down below are going to get mad at us, which are eventually going to get mad at you, and then you're going to move in on hostile conditions. As our site entrances are marked in red. There's one to the left side and there's one to the right. On the left side, it's designed so that is our main entrance and exit. On the right side, it is only for emergencies or any kind of special circumstance that we need to open it. It is not going to be for regular use. The reason we chose the main one on the left side is because we put a couple dumpsters right there just to make sure that nothing makes it out of our job site that shouldn't be, and we have our job trailers right there.
So where are your job trailers?
Up here in the left-hand corner.
But is that not your emergency exit? So your
No,
main exit?
our main exit is here. Our emergency exit is here. That help? And then so everyone coming in and out will have to pass by our job trailers. Makes it very easy to check and make sure everyone who's coming in is supposed to be here and knows what they're doing, and to make sure they're all safety qualified and have gone through our site-specific safety plans. We put our muster point there also. It's very easy when people come into your trailer to talk to you to say, hey, we want you to be here, we want you to muster here. And at the same time, that isn't being developed until phase 2 or 3. So during this phase, it works perfect for our location. The road, as it goes around, it circles by every single one of the buildings. The reason we've had the road go by all the buildings, we put a dumpster by every building, and we've also put porta potties by every building. We want to ensure that they keep their work sites clean and safe at all times. And the road will also suffice for us to use a mobile crane. We decided not to do a tower crane. We want to risk, and there's not going to be a huge necessity for it. And we felt that the mobile crane would be much easier and it would be maneuverable from building to building when we needed to do that. Richard, is there anything else?
I would just like to say thank you again for listening to our proposal. We're looking forward to a good relationship, and I can assure you that the team and the proposal that we put together is second to none.
I have just a quick question. On your RFP, your critical path is clearly defined. How or what do you see as the critical path for this project?
Critical path is pretty much going to go straight down the line from getting all of our notices, and then it's going to go straight into pouring concrete, making sure that all that goes in line, putting in our structural steel.
Is there any one building that is defined as more critical than the others?
No, there's not. We're going to start with the first building. Obviously, the last building is going to be a little bit more stressful, just because the deadline is a little bit shorter, and you are a little bit closer to hitting the deadline.
Okay.
So I didn't see anywhere on the site logistics plan, site plan, anything about SWIP.
We do have rocks and stuff in place in order at every single one of our exits. We have water trucks in place. Every single one of our fences are covered, and on top of that, with the water trucks, they're going to be watering down the roads and on the paveways every single day. We already have that in place in our budget.
Tell me who typically develops the SWIP plan?
Generally, the superintendent does.
Does he coordinate all approval through the local jurisdictions and that sort of thing as well?
Yes, if it needs to be. He makes sure he's in compliance with every single one of those codes.
If we were to opt to build out the spaces, bring you guys on as a contractor for the pen finish, how would that affect your schedule?
Phase 2 and phase 3?
Actually, to build out the tenant spaces in phase 1.
Oh, okay.
It would affect us a little bit as it would take a little bit longer, of course. But at the same time, since we do have that little bit of buffer period, it would help us to not push back too far. It would probably end a month or two, I would guess.
So a month or two. At what point in the project do you think you need to make that decision to where it wouldn't affect more than a month or two of your schedule?
You could be pretty close to the end, merely because of the fact it's a gray shell. And all the plumbing, everything like that is already going to be basically in place. We're all going to have the stubbins. It is a gray shell. There's not a lot of
major changes.